Hi there, welcome to A&P 1. I'm Professor Wendy Rapazzo, your instructor for this semester in this course. First thing, what do you call me? I'm pretty flexible on that. I'm fine if you want to call me Professor. You can call me Professor R, which is how I tend to sign my emails. Professor Rapazzo. You can call me Wendy. You can call me Mrs. Wendy. You can call me Mrs. Rapazzo. Any of those are fine. I wanted to take a minute and make this quick. I'm hopefully making this quick for you. Welcome overview video. A lot of you don't know me. You might have read stuff, heard stuff about me. Don't believe everything you hear about anybody. There's a whole range of stuff out there. I know there is, but here's some background about me. Please post in the discussion board. I post a little bit about myself. You can read this here. My goal is to help prepare you for your future, help teach you how to study, how to learn, and teach you a lot of anatomy and physiology. I do have an odd sense of humor, so if you like a little bit of a dry sense of humor, you'll enjoy it. If not, I'll just apologize ahead of time. I will try to make it fun, but it is a little bit, gritty. It is a tough course. It is a time-consuming course, so I just want you to know right off the top that it really seriously will require 15 to 20 hours per week. Make sure you have the time. Just trust me, a lot of times students, the reason they're not successful is the time requirement. They'll say, oh, I don't have time to come to college and take, a face-to-face class. I'll do a hybrid. Hybrid is more time consuming. So it's really important that you know that off the top of the head, just right off the start. I'm going to give you everything you need to be successful. I promise that. You're going to have all the tools. The issue is you need the time to use them. So I'm going to jump in. I'm going to go over some of the highlights of the course. I won't be able to go over everything the first day of class. I will hit a few pieces of it, but it's very, very important that you go through this and that you carefully read your syllabus so you understand what you're getting yourselves into. And then please ask me questions. I don't bite. I'm approachable. I'm usually depressed because I'm a New York Giants fan, and now the Yankees, they kind of tanked out too. So, but please feel free to come see me. I have office hours, student hours. Talk to me. I do want you to succeed. I want to help you succeed. It's just an awful lot of time. So let's jump right into the course, and you don't need to see my head anymore. So again, let's go over this, and on your own, you need to carefully read your syllabus. This is a hybrid course, so the lecture is online. I will see you once a week for lab. We start promptly at 9:35, so make sure you get there on time. You want to be in your seat, ready to go at 9:35 in Aberdeen Hall in the A&P lab. You can see my email, which is a good way to reach me. I have this Remind app, which is a way to text me quick things, and emails for longer. And then please come see me. These are my student hours, so you can see when I'm in my office, or I have a virtual one through Zoom. And we'll also be doing a game night. I'll explain that when I see you. So on your own, you can read over the course description. It is an intense course. You probably know people who've had A&P. It is a foundation course, so you're here because you're doing something in health, medical. So it is important that you learn how to study, how to take tests. You have boards that you have to pass, and almost everything that involves taking care of somebody. And so it's important that you learn those skills and the content. As far as what do you need, when you registered for the course, you bought your book, you bought your textbook. The textbook is an e-text. So what you're going to do is when you get into Blackboard, on the left-hand menu, you'll see a little link. It says A&P Textbook and Mastering Registration. Click that. And when you click that, you'll see a little box that says Section Bio 203. Excuse me. You will click on this for your modified mastering, and a code pops up. This is your access code to Mastering A&P, which is your textbook, your e-text, and all of the materials for the lecture portion of class. You're going to copy that code. Then you're going to come back to the left menu, click on Mastering A&P, follow the prompts. You have to click Mastering A&P like 3 times or something like that. And then you'll get where you create your login, use your code. This is your code. And then you join the class. Now, if you want an actual book, you can buy a book for $59.99 and it will be mailed to your house. And I recommend you do that. It's the same book for A&P 1 as well as A&P 2. And sometimes it's nice to actually have a hard copy of a book. Now, what do you need for lab? You need a lab manual. A lot of students like to get the print version. It's $29. You can buy it in the bookstore or you can buy it online. If you want the e-book, it's $16. I don't know how they came up with this in the price, $16.79. You can purchase that from the Kendall Hunt. There is a link in your syllabus, which is in Blackboard. You can use that link as well. You do need it the first day of class. So if you bought it from Kendall Hunt and it hasn't come yet, in your lab folder, I posted a PDF of Lab 1. There's also a PowerPoint, so you can use either of those for day 1, our first lab. And then there's some other recommended items. I do recommend you bring colored pencils and index cards to every lab meeting, and have a notebook for all your lab items, like a binder. Helpful apps. There is a Kahoot app for game night. We'll do Kahoots. That's optional and up to you. This is the Remind app for texting. There is a Blackboard app, which allows you to see updates and announcements, which I recommend. And this Dynamic Study Modules is a really good app for practice. A lot of the way you're going to learn the material is to practice. Whenever you need to learn something, you have to do it over and over and over. And so I recommend this app. This is the Pearson app that I don't know. Some students said it worked, some said it didn't. This allows you to get to your e-text on your phone. We'll see if that works or not. So how's this course set up? We have a lecture portion and we have a lab portion. The lecture portion, you're basically doing it on your own. So you have to schedule this. Normally you would come to campus for 3 hours every single week just to sit in a class and do lecture. Then you would have to read and study. So you're going to read in the book. Then we do them through what are called an Edpuzzle. An Edpuzzle is a lecture with questions and they're graded. So you sit down, each Edpuzzle, I try to keep them around 20 minutes a piece. Some are shorter, some are a little bit longer. And so you just watch it and you take notes. That's your lecture. I have guided notes available for you in the folder. You print the guided notes or you write them on your computer, and that's your class. The benefit is you can do them when you want to. You can do it at 2 a.m. or 8 o'clock in the morning. However, you do have a deadline because you do these and then you have a quiz, and I chunk it. So you're going to have quizzes on Wednesdays and Sundays. You may use your notes on your quiz. Yes, you can use your notes. Don't Google it. It's not going to help you because you cannot use your notes on your exams. And so if you start using your notes on your quizzes all the time, you're not learning anything. You're getting really good at looking stuff up and you're not learning it. And then you're going to fail your exam. So when you take your quizzes, they're timed. They're only 10 minutes. You don't have time to look everything up. So you prepare for the quiz by doing all the active learning activities, rewriting your notes, teaching someone else, doing dynamic study modules, writing everything out. And then if you need to double check something on your quiz, it's okay. So the Edpuzzles are short pieces. I do not want you to sit down and read all of chapter 1 or all of chapter 4 in one sitting. So how do you know what to read? You're going to use a checklist. I post the checklist every single week. Sit down, do the checklist in the order listed. Do not try to do the checklist all at once. It's impossible. Plus, you have stuff due Wednesday and Sunday. Break it up. Try to do 2 hours a day, chunks. So you'll do an Edpuzzle, you take notes, you rewrite your notes, do the active learning strategies. Hopefully you will do the extra credit Edpuzzle on academic skills, teaching you how to be an effective learner. You have a weekly mastering assignment. You work on that. You take quizzes. I have an exam review sheet. You should fill that out every single week. Fill it out for what you just did. And then it's all filled out and you just review it before you take your test online. Lab is 40%. Every single week you have a pre-lab. It is due before I see you on Thursday. You do it in Blackboard. You have a lab folder in Blackboard. You go in, set an hour before I see you. Pick a time, I don't know, maybe Tuesday night at 8 p.m. You're going to go into your lab folder and you're going to read through every single item. Sometimes I have little labeling activities. I have one for you this week where I'm going to say, do this activity and label this in your lab manual. I will check this. And if you don't have your lab manual yet, do it and take a picture of it so you can show it to me. Or there's a PDF, which I mentioned, or a PowerPoint. Do that and just print that page and bring it to lab. And it would probably be better to print it and bring it to lab because it's better to have that in lab. Then you come to lab. We do questions. We work on all the material. You're going to have a little exit question. I'll talk about that in lab. And then your job is to learn whatever we did that week. You'll have to come back and study. And then you have lab practicals, which is basically a big test on everything you've been learning in lab. So when you break it down for your grade, notice we're going to have lecture exams. These are online, proctored through HonorLock. We have the online quizzes. I do drop your lowest 5. Your graded ed puzzles, these are the lectures with the grades, with the questions that are graded, and you get 2 attempts on these ed puzzles. So if you go through the first time and maybe you misread the question, take it over and fix it. Your mastering A&P homework, there's a little bit of extra credit. Most of it's right now, so I would get it done, and a cumulative final. Your lab, you have 3 practical exams, and then we will have some lab assignments. I don't really do too much with lab quizzes with you guys too much. So this is the breakdown of what I went over explaining it. The ed puzzles, like I said, this is how lecture is done. You get 2 attempts, and they're written out so you know when they're due, and you can follow the checklist. This is mastering A&P. I set up assignments. They're basically on each chapter. You are supposed to use your notes. You are supposed to look stuff up. This is how you study. When you study, you do stuff. If you want to get stronger, you're going to go to the gym or you're going to be home and you're going to lift heavy things, right? And as you lift heavy things, your muscles will get stronger. Well, you're not going to go to the gym and watch someone else lift heavy things. That's not going to help you get stronger. You have to do the work. Well, that's how your brain works. Your brain has to do the work. So you listen and watch and write and you rewrite and you think about things and you do homeworks and you think more and you apply and you talk about it and you write it out and you teach it to someone. This is how you learn. You'll have a cumulative final, and there's review sheets for every exam, so you can write out the answers before you take a test. This is our lab information. Remember, you have a pre-lab due before I see you Thursday, so make sure you do that. I will talk more about lab when I see you, so you can read over this, and you do have some labeling work. The rest of this is in the syllabus. I want you to read it before I see you. I don't want to take up too much time reading what you can read, but lab is mandatory. Don't miss lab. If you miss lab, you get a 0 for anything we did that day. I don't take any late work, and you can see that there is an attendance policy for lab. Do not be on your phone in lab. They're addicting. They're designed to be addicting. If you find that you're constantly looking at it, put it away. So just get it out of the way, because if you're looking at your phone, you're not learning in the lab, and it's very, very distracting. Quizzes and exams every Wednesday, every Sunday. No makeups. If you forget to take it, it's a 0, but I'm dropping 5. So that's plenty for those once in a while when you forget, or maybe you just had a really bad day and you didn't do well. All the exams are online with HonorLock. HonorLock does have a camera. You do have to do a room scan, and I do talk about that later with you, and I even have a practice one for you to take. There are no makeup exams, only for an approved excuse, meaning you got in touch with me before the exam was due. We communicated and you gave me documentation of whatever the issue was. And then I told you that I approved the excuse. A vacation is not an excuse absence. This is what the course looks like. So it's really important that you get in there and you play around so you can find everything. You'll notice it's set up by week, and I'll go into Blackboard in just a minute, but make sure you get in there so you can find it. On the outside of the folders, I try to give a summary, but again, what's clear to me might not be clear to you. So just take your time and carefully read everything. Students often go so fast that you don't slow down and read, because the only way I can communicate with you is through writing stuff. Here's your lab folder. I also try to post on the outside of the folder what we're doing that day and what's due. Notice our very first lab, you have this pre-lab, and then I have this activity to do that I'm checking that will be done. And your pre-lab is actually an assignment. It's not technically a whole ed puzzle. This is your course schedule. And I will have copies for you, but it's posted. So every week you can see what you're doing in lab, what's due, what we're doing in lecture. You can see you have some extra credits that are due by Wednesday. So make sure you get in there. This is a checklist, which is posted. So you can start right at the top and work your way through. And one of the biggest things is figuring out how to survive this course. It's very intense, especially hybrid. And so it's important that you start strong. You don't want to get behind, because it's really hard to catch up once you're behind. I'm very big on how the brain learns and efficient study techniques. These work. Take your time. This is that academic skills. Back here, you have an extra credit on academic skills. Just trust me, do it, take it seriously, figure out what you will do and when you will do it, because it has to be active. Like I said, you have to practice. What you eat how much you sleep, all of that matters, and what you think, because you can come in here and it might be discouraging, and I'm not trying to discourage you, but I'm also trying to let you know what you're in for, because I want you to succeed, and I also know that you have to start strong. So I don't want you to think that it's impossible. It's possible. I don't want you to think that you're unable. You're able. You just have to have a schedule. You have to follow it. I have a blank one posted. These are things you need to do to be successful. So you sit down and take a good look at, what classes you have, what's your life like, and figure out when you can do these things and when you will do them, and then write it out. And have a plan of what you will do and when you will do it, and schedule downtime, schedule time to exercise or just relax and have fun, and schedule time to sleep. And if you've never done anything like this before, I will meet with you and help you. We can meet through Zoom, or you can come through to my student hours that were posted, because if you start now and you do this, you're going to be fine. But if you don't do this, then the tendency is to put everything off, and then you constantly feel like a hamster on a wheel and you stress yourself out. And when you're stressed, you can't learn. So what now? Go through the Start Here module. Okay, go through, read everything. You just did the course welcome. That's what we're doing right now. Go over and read the syllabus. Do your introduction and your discussion board. I'd like to meet you before I see you. Do your academic skills ed puzzle. Set up a weekly calendar. Get your checklist, print it, and just start working through the course. Start your guided notes for chapter 1, do your lab folder, get your pre-lab in, and get your mastering account set up. So I hope this was helpful for you. Reach out with questions, and I'm looking forward to meeting you on Thursday.